How are y'all doing today? This is Red. I'm gonna try to just do a quick part 1 video, but I'm fixing to make a CB base station tower. As you can see, I've got 3 2x12s. I've got a 1-inch piece of conduit, and I've also got an 8-foot copper ground rod. I've got some hardware and all that other stuff, but basically I'm hoping to get pretty close to 35 feet at least for my CB antenna to go on to. So basically the thought process is well, over just this last couple of weeks, we witnessed with the riots and stuff in Washington D.C. and really all over 2020 and the years before. What happens is anytime there's something going on, they cut cell service and they kick a whole bunch of people off of all their apps and stuff like that. I've got 4 Facebooks because I like to talk trash online, but they simultaneously kicked me off all 4 for no reason. They didn't give me a reason why. They kicked me off Zello, they kicked me off Signal, so anyways, I've just had a whole bunch of time lately just sit there and think about what I want to do. And here lately, me and my buddies that are in my my militia group, we've been doing a whole lot about just working on our communications. So we've been doing a lot with our Baofengs, and hopefully here I'll be doing a video on Baofengs. I still don't know a whole lot about them, but I've been working on Baofengs, working on trying to figure out what the ranges are with the various antennas and stuff like that. And we found out basically that the most we can get out in even a rural setting is about 7.5 miles. So that's what makes us start to think maybe we ought to go back to the 80s and start working on getting CB base stations set up. That way we can at least talk to each other if the cell towers go down and stuff like that. Of course, the government has all kinds of ways to jam those too, but I figure if we can get everything figured out now, then that way if they sit there and try to do that stuff in the future, we can figure out our ways around it. So anyway, stay tuned. I'm just going to show you just how I'm setting this tower up. It's going to basically be a catapult style, where there's going to be 2 legs, and I'm going to concrete those into the ground, and there's going to be a long piece that the antenna is going to attach to with a counterweight on the other side. That way I can take it up and set it down all by myself. I don't need help. So anyways, again, thanks, stay tuned. Alright, so I did manage to set my tower up. I poured concrete, so the concrete's setting. So I'm just going to do a quick little clip before I show you all basically my more or less finished project for just the phase 1. So again, like I was talking about in the first part of this video, while standing outside, I got hit hard on social media with them silencing me and stuff like that, which is wild because here lately I haven't even been posting anything that's real off the wall. But it's whatever. It's given me an opportunity to kind of work with my buddies, work with my fellow militiamen to figure some stuff out. So this is my Baofeng. It's been programmed for just the good channels in my area. So this is something that, those of y'all that have purchased Baofengs or considered buying one, these have to be programmed. I mean, they don't have to. It just makes their use a whole lot better to where the channels that are used in your area are in here. So another thing that I want to talk about is those of y'all that think, well, I've got my Baofeng, and if something pops off, I can listen to the law enforcement scanner on it. You're going to have a rough time doing that, just because, most, I can't verify 100% all, but most law enforcement emergency channels these days are actually on encrypted channels, so you really can't hear anything with these. Another thing is I purchased this antenna. I originally wanted to have a 28-inch antenna. For some reason they sent me one that's 4 foot long, but I love it. It's awesome. I get pretty good range, but at the same time with this, it being a 4 foot long antenna, the very best that me and my buddies can achieve is about 7.5 miles out in a rural setting, and then in town, in a large urban environment like a city, The very best that we can do is about 2 miles, and that's sitting on high spots like overpasses and buildings and stuff like that. So these are extremely limited. These are good for, you know, just local operations in, say, a neighborhood. These are good for like driving in convoy where you're keeping constant communications with your buddies. That's what these are outstanding for. I 100% recommend these. This whole setup right here cost me about 50-60 bucks. The radio is about $35, and then the antenna was about another $20, and then of course plus tax and shipping and crap. But anyways, I love this. It's awesome. It's a good piece of kit to have. Of course, it does break down, but also at the same time, I can, you know, have it on my belt in the back, and then have my antenna run up over my shoulder on my kit. So, you know, I can travel with it extended like this. But anyways, my point is, the reason why I'm building a CB base station is, you know, CBs, they're still fairly inexpensive. The President McKinley model that I purchased is $178, and it has an SWR meter on it. And I recommend getting something with an SWR meter, whether it's digital or analog or whatever, just so you can tune your system a little bit better. You know, those of y'all that are going to fix to rush out, run to Walmart and buy a Cobra 19, you know, the little cheapy $30 one, and slam that in your truck. You know, that's fine, but you're just not going to get the range that what I'm trying to get set up. You know, you may get, you know, 4 or 5 miles or something like that, and on top of that, because your system's untuned, you know, anytime you try to talk, you're going to come in real fuzzy. So what I'm trying to do is I'm basically trying to set up more or less what I would call medium range comms. I would like to reach out about 50 miles or so, to that way I can encompass all my buddies, and that way, again, if cell towers are killed, if you know, apps on our phones and internet and stuff like that is killed, we can still keep in contact with one another. And you know, those of y'all are watching this and say, oh, but Red, you know, the government can sit there and jam all these frequencies too. You know, and that is true, but at the same time, that technology is extremely limited. It has a limited range. So you know, if I've got buddies, you know, 50 miles this way, and 50 miles this way, and 50 miles this way, and 50 miles this way, you know, and, you know, we're set up all the way around this large urban area, and they pull into this urban area and try to jam all 40 CB frequencies, you know, we can sit there and bounce back and talk to each other all the way around that area, and basically, you know, bypass that whole area. You know, it's a theory that I'm working on. Of course, I can't try it unless, you know, they pull into the city that I live next to and try to jam frequencies. But you know, it's just something that, you know, you try to work on. You try to build the best system that you can. You know, people will sit there and spend thousands of dollars on guns and ammunition and body armor, and you know, I've got those things too. And people will sit there and spend, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars on food and medical, and again, great, I have those things too, but something I haven't put a lot of thought into lately is communication. And these last few weeks, with what Facebook and the other apps did to me, it really just kind of grabbed my attention. So a little bit more about this tower that I'm building. I have 1/2 inch by 7 inch galvanized bolts and 6 washers on top. And basically how it is that first bolt is set up as a hinge, so it has the bolt through it, a washer, the first 2x4, and that's the leg. And I have 2 washers, and then the arm, 2 washers, and then a leg, and then a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. And that's basically, again, just so it stays as a hinge. The bottom one, I don't have any washers for. I might put some washers on in the future, but it's more or less just it's my lock, so it stays up. Also, when I do finally set it up, I'm going to have guy wires that go down, but they're not going to be wires. It's probably just going to be some kind of cordage, because the biggest thing is I'm trying to establish what's called a ground plane. So, you know, when you have on your vehicle, you know, a CB antenna, and it works real good, and then you go to take it off and you set it on the ground, or you set it on in a tree or something like that, you're really not going to get any kind of good readings
and it's going to come in extremely fuzzy. You're not going to be able to communicate at all. That's because of what's called SWR. I don't know a lot about how SWR works, but basically, you know, you have your antenna, and then you need to have metal basically for your signal to push off from. So I have that 10 feet piece of conduit, and I'm actually going to cut it down to 8.5 feet because from what I've read in the forums and the other buddies of mine that have CB setups have told me that 102 inches is the premium for getting good SWR. So that's what I'm going to do there, and then again the guy wires are coming off, just kind of stabilize my whole system. You know, those are going to just become some kind of cordage, paracord or something like that, because I don't want actual wires going all the way down. As for my lightning rod that I'm building on the side, that's not actually going to be attached to my conduit. It's going to be actually attached on the other side of that 2x4. That's the arm. It's going to go all the way down and then into that 8-foot copper rod, and then that way that won't mess with my SWP, at least not too much. So anyways, just stay tuned for that clip. I'll show you what the more or less finished project is. This is for the phase 1 of this. Phase 2 is going to be here in a couple weeks after I get my CB stuff in the mail and I put everything together. Thanks.
Alright, so apologies for the wind. It's always windy out here. But basically I just want to show you all what I did. So I have first 2 footers in the ground about 2 feet in the concrete setting. Cold water, get away from that. The concrete setting. And then as you can see, I have a little bit of it goes out about 3 feet. And that I can attach a counterweight to. And then it'll straighten out the rest of the pole. So probably just for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to let this kind of set. But the last piece of conduit right there actually needs to be shortened. It's 10 feet right now. I need to cut it down to 8.5, so it's 102 inches. And then I'll attach my my antenna to that. I also have this 8-foot piece of copper. That's going to get hammered into the ground. I'm waiting for the concrete to set up first before I do that. And then I bought about 40 feet of copper because I was hoping to get my tower a little bit higher, but oh well, this will be high enough, I think, for now. But the problem is that, you know, this is Shotgun Ridge, so we're a little bit on a high spot in the field, and I'm worried about lightning strikes. Of course, my antenna tower will be one of the highest structures in the area, so it's going to get grounded with that 40 feet of copper all the way down into that 8-foot copper rod in the ground, and then that way I won't get a face full of lightning if there's ever a lightning strike. So anyways, this is part 1. This is the tower. It's up. Like I said, just waiting for that concrete to set and I'll refill the hole. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, drop them in the comments. Thanks.